Okay, so this is going to be a single station composite loop fly. Kind of in the black and blue realm. And you notice the intruder wire is already tied on, the dumbbell eyes are already tied on. So if you've gotten to this point, you've learned those two skills. And don't get me wrong, they are skills. They're not just things we do, they're things we do with purpose. So, because here's the deal, these fish are awesome and they deserve an awesome fly to eat. So I'm gonna make a dubbing loop. Again, something you've already learned how to do. Beautiful thing about YouTube is you can fast forward if you don't want to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna get a nice little hank of steely blue dubbing, and what I do is I just kind of take it out like so, grab it with my thumb, do that. That's a decent amount, so I'm gonna strip a little bit of it out, but okay, it's ready to go. Put it in my loop, kind of right down the middle, so even on both sides. Again, this is not something I'm gonna take a lot of time with. Spin it up, pick it out a little bit, maybe not all the way. I noticed that there's a little feather in there. Take that sucker out of there. Okay. You can always take some of this off if it feels too long or whatever the case is. Just gonna tie it off right there. Be happy with it. Cut it. All right, kind of pick it out. Go through the dubbing ball just a little bit. Yeah, buddy. And we're done. Just kidding. Okay, next up, it's gonna put some wire in. I'm gonna put the wire in all the way down the shank. And on the bottom side here. It's gonna create a body with the feather, all that goodness. Okay, body material, which is the coolest stuff on the planet. Lagerton flat braid fluoro pearl, right? Again, to even out the body, which, probably isn't real important to the fish, but again, awesome fish, awesome fly. Respect the fish that you're getting after. And this is one way to do it. Tie a really cool fly. Go all the way down. Over the top of it here. Couple behind. Good to go. Fantastic. I've got a black saddle feather already ready to rock. All right. I'm gonna put it in from the big side. Tie that in really good too. It's not fun when this comes unbuttoned. And I'm going to go clockwise. And if you just do that, puff it out a little bit, you'll be good to go. Go right over the top of it. And each piece, this is actually a super nice feather. Notice how I'm just kind of twisting and just manipulating the wire. I'm at the point where I don't actually mind just rounding it off a couple of times. And I can always mess with kind of what's caught back there by just tying right in front. And when you get to here, that should be really secure and you can just helicopter it right off. Cut the back side. I see my feather. I didn't want to tie down correctly. That's funny. I think the wire kind of cut my feather a little bit, which is okay because that part of it is going to get covered up. So I'm just gonna tie over the top of it. See, things happen. It's all right. I'm not gonna throw a fit. There we go. Again, and I'm gonna kind of start back here anyways. So I'll just kind of tie this extra feather down. Only reason we can do this is the thread. If you turned basically any other thread that many times, you'd be in real trouble. Okay. Cool, like this feather. I'm digging it already. There's a lot going on back there. I might take some of that out. Okay, now we are going to work on the composite loop, and for that we will change the camera angle. So I've prepared some of the material as I kind of destroy half of my preparation work here. But I've got some fox, I've got some ostrich in black and blue, and some dubbing. First thing I'm going to tell you is this is probably the most important material as far as the way the fly casts. If you add too much fox, you're going to be really frustrated. So one way to prepare fox, I just cut it off the hank basically, if that's what you want to call it, I don't know. And then we're going to take the fluff out of the fox, okay, with a comb. One more little preen, if you will. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So this isn't our kind of first step, but it'll be kind of our second step. I'm just getting some dubbing, and you can use anything on this. I think I literally have just enough of this to make this work. So this is just Kingfisher Blue ice dub, and we'll mix in a little bit of Steely Blue just for giggles with this momentarily. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up a base for the rest of the material, and that will be this Kingfisher Blue ice dub. It's a pretty good base. We'll put this up here. Oh, nice. Just got all kinds of it in here. And you know what? I'll put this in here too for now. It's going to get picked out, so don't freak out that it's not all even. Not the end of the world. Okay. I always use the back of my hand because it doesn't have moisture on it. So just a little nugget. The first thing I'm going to do is now put my fox down. And now I'm just focusing on half of the, in fact, this is too long, so I'm gonna cut this. I'm focusing on half of the the composite loop, the dubbing section here. So I'm gonna just put my fox down on this half. Okay. And now one thing at a time here. And you can kind of load this up to whatever your desire is. I have some just ridiculously high quality ostrich that is very, very thin. That this is the way I like ostrich, because it just everything thin that's not kind of matted down and whatnot, it just casts so much better. So, and in my opinion, it looks really good too. So I'm gonna figure out this blue ostrich is actually pretty long, and it's really, really just nice. So I'm gonna figure out how long I want it, which it's about right. I'm just gonna kind of cut the tips off of it. Okay, and then I'm gonna put it in there 3 or 4 strands at a time. Spread it out appropriately. Yeah, just put the rest in there, and then I'm gonna move it around with a bodkin. This is where things get a little bit more difficult. There we go, pretty happy with that. And there's gonna be a lot of picking out here. Okay, next, my black ostrich. And this is shorter, which is fine. I actually kind of like the idea of some ostrich being longer than the other. It just is a really cool look, honestly. So I'll put this kind of next to the other ostrich. And it's okay if it overlaps. It's not gonna look like it's not overlapped anyways. And the better you space these things now, the easier it is to kind of pick through in the long run anyways. So just keep that in mind. Okay, the probably coolest, worst material out there, Lady Amherst. Put those on there. It's just gonna be a cool look. Oh, definitely don't want that there. These are hard to move around. Just gonna continue to put these Lady A pieces in. It does really help to spread these guys out. They are going to be fun to deal with. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, the next material, one of my favorites, Rivel Ice. And I'm gonna kind of put this in like I would, I'm gonna put it in so it's even and not too crazy, because this is gonna make the process real fun. Okay, that didn't work. It is very loud, this material, so you don't need a lot. There we go. Yes, sir. Okay. That's gonna end up being a lot of fun. Okay, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna fold it over my dubbing, just fold it over completely, kind of move things down a little bit. There we go. So exactly where my dubbing sits is where it's gonna go in the loop. And this is always the fun part, is how you want to pick that up. So I've got a tube needle. I'll set under there, and I'll create a loop here in a moment. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, we're gonna create a loop for our composite material. Put our dubbing spinner in there. Pick up said material. Throw everything in there. Oop, that didn't work. Oh boy. Take that out of there real quick. There we go. It's actually one of the hardest parts about the whole deal is just getting all the material in your hand and transferring it in such a way to where everything kind of stays together and your dubbing is where you want it to be, because that is important. That's what's going to kind of hold things together in the long run. So I'm just going through here and just going to start kind of manipulating this. And overall, I kind of like where things are at. Not trying to create a huge, you know, gigantic fly with this, but big enough to where things look good and gets the fish's attention. Okay. I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna cut a little bit of the backside, but not too much. And the reason, like if I wanted this thing to not stand up too much, then I would cut a bunch of the backside. But that's a pretty solid amount. So just gonna start spinning it and we'll see what happens here. Biggest thing is have your bodkin ready to go. Some of that stuff is gonna come right out, no big deal. Okay. Good, things are looking good here. This is something that just takes patience and time, and if you don't have patience, then don't do these big composite loops. Cool thing about them is if you do it right, they're incredibly durable. One more spin. That is all I'm gonna spin it, because it's tight and you don't need any more. Just gonna go through here. I'm gonna pick as much out as I can. Everything really stayed in line pretty darn well. Which is a modern day miracle. And pick some of that out because we don't need just dubbing hanging out. Okay. And you know, if you watch our other videos, this is where 50 denier thread really does shine. Okay, I'm gonna start kind of looking for folding point. Before I do that, I'm gonna brush this out. You should be able to be pretty rough with it at this point. It's there. It's not going anywhere. And that'll really take out the material that doesn't want to be there, which is fine. And what I like to do, so it doesn't get too terribly bulky, is I like to come through and I'm gonna fold it. I'm just gonna fold it and I'm gonna cut some of the excess stems. Not all of them, because they do help stand the fly up and keep it formed, but I'm gonna cut a little bit off. Not everybody does this, but this is just something, again, castability is important to me, and I fish 8 and 9 weights for the most part for winters, so I'm not super worried about castability, but maybe I'll give this fly to a buddy that's fishing a 7 weight, and at that point it matters. And that's why we stock 8 weights, because I believe in them. That guy's not wanting to be there. Okay, I'm gonna start tying this right up against that saddle. And right behind each wrap, and I'll go through and I'll pick this out afterwards, but yep, good. Just trimming this guy up a little bit just because I don't know. I'm used to tying kind of cleaner bugs. Next, one of my all-time favorites, holographic Flashabou in blue, but it's that steely blue color. So I'm gonna grab 6 strands of that, because that sounds good. I want this fly to blow up in a steelhead's face, so whip. I guess I'm grabbing 4. So like I do with any of my dumbbell eye flies, I just fold it on over, light wrap so it doesn't turn on you, spread them out. Again, a very cool look. Don't know if it matters, but it gives your eyes kind of a little hot spot for the fish to look at. I like to spread those out relatively even. Good deal. And then some cinch them down wraps. That's a cool bug so far. We're gonna set some horns in there because, well, that's what every person should do with their really cool fly. Yes, sir. I like that a lot. So there's lots of ways to set horns. I like it to be the feather just angled, you know, I don't know, maybe like a 30-degree angle if you can get away with it. And sometimes they just have a mind of their own and they want to do their own thing. So you have to kind of coerce them this guy I'm gonna have to coerce a little bit to not be as bent. And what I do is I just rub it with my fingernail like so. And hopefully it bent it in the direction I want it to go just enough. There we go. Not an easy thing to do. Everybody gets upset with these things and they say, how do you get your horns to be just perfect? And I go, well, I don't. They're never perfect. They're never exactly the way I want them to be. These ones are acceptable. That's about as far as I'm gonna go. So, get in there, tie behind them a couple of times. On top a couple of times. Cut the stems. See, I always tell people I've never tied a perfect fly, and I have still never tied a perfect fly. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool fly, just as it is. You could be done with it. I am going to put just a few wraps of schlappen around it, just to kind of finish it off, and yeah, I'm just gonna finish it off with some schlappen, see how that looks. If I'm not super happy with it, I might throw some JC in there. Who we kidding? I'm gonna throw some JC in there. It's sitting right here next to me. Might as well. So, something that people forget to do all the time that I think is a good idea. Just bend it with the scissors just a little bit. It makes everybody so much happier. Stuff is nice and webby, really good shape. And I'm going to cut it off right there. One thing that a feather over your horns does is it actually protects the horns pretty darn well. I tied a fly like a week ago, and it's one of those flies that I really, really want to catch a fish on, so I've been fishing it like crazy. And the horns are still there after, gosh, at least 2 days of fishing, maybe 3. Okay. Can spread out the webbing, the webbiness, if you will. There we go. Get those to spread out a little bit. All right, I have 2 pieces of JC that I'm just gonna put right. This one you won't see. Now, JC has a really round stem, and it does not like to cooperate. A lot of guys will smash the stem. I've done that. I occasionally do that. I'm gonna see if I can get this guy to just set in there like I want him to. So I do like a, so far he's not doing what I want. There we go. That's exactly what I want. How can I get him to stay there for me? There we go. That is really cool. It wanted to roll a little bit with me. A little too much, a little not enough. It's a little brutal. This one I probably should have smashed. That's pretty darn good. Still, I'm not happy. So I'm not, you know, again, it's a fly that I really like. It's a color combo that I really like. And more importantly, it's a fish I really like. So I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna do it right. As frustrating as that can be. Just gotta grab it and put it in there correctly. That's gonna end up, yep, yes sir. Okay, secure it. 1, 2, 3. I am happy. Roll those forward. 1, 2. Go back over the top of them. Okay, trim those guys. Get those guys out of there. Sorry if that was painful, but you know, sometimes that's the way it is. Fold it up just a little bit, but I'm actually okay with that. I believe I can fix that. Yes, sir. There we go. Okay. Whip finish that real quick. And then we'll move on to the very last thing. Again, any fly that you love, would finish twice, or 3 times, or 4 times, whatever you're feeling. Secure that. Put some, I'm gonna put some UV product on it. I don't know that it necessarily matters who you use. I've got Loon, I've got this stuff from Pro Sport Fisher that I'm just kind of trying. It's very good stuff. With that said, the Loon stuff is awesome. So don't feel like you have to use this. I don't even know if we sell this. I think it's kind of a trial basis. The Loon stuff is, if you're just starting or if you're just thinking about getting into the UV game, get the Loon stuff. It's less expensive by this light. I believe it's called the UV Infinity light. And it charges, you can charge it with your computer. So it is awesome. It is a no-brainer. The only light that is worth buying, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a fancy light out there, but this is, you know, for the UV stuff, relatively inexpensive and awesome. There it is. Single station composite loop. Awesome fly that will definitely catch a fish this winter.